There's a moment right around dusk when you can tell exactly which houses on a block hired a landscape designer and which ones tried to handle their outdoor lighting themselves. The houses that look like a small boutique hotel. Soft, warm, intentional. Like somebody actually thought about the space. And then the houses that look like they're hosting a Halloween attraction. Bright white spotlights blasting up at every bush. A line of solar lights down the walkway like an airport runway. The roof and the trees in the patio all lit at the exact same brightness, with no depth or contrast anywhere. Same architecture, same plants, same property value during the day. Completely different message at night. And here's what most homeowners don't realize. The difference between those two looks isn't budget. It's 5 very specific mistakes that millions of homeowners make every single season, mostly because they walked into Home Depot, grabbed whatever solar lights were sitting on the end cap, and stuck them in the ground. I'm going to walk you through all 5. The exact mistakes that make a yard look cheap at night, what's actually going wrong behind each one, and the small adjustment that fixes it. Some of these cost nothing to fix. None of them require an electrician. And by the time we hit the last one, you're going to start spotting these in every house you drive past at night for the rest of the year. You can't unsee it once you know. Let's start with the most common one. The mistake almost every homeowner makes within their first month of trying to upgrade their outdoor lighting. The single biggest tell that a homeowner did their own lighting is a row of cheap solar path lights lined up like little tin soldiers down both sides of the walkway. You've seen them. You probably have them. I had them. Gigalumi sells an 8-pack of solar path lights at Home Depot for $38.77. That's $4.85 per light. The reason they're $4.85 is that the entire fixture is plastic. The solar panel on top is about the size of a quarter, and the actual light output is somewhere between 2 and 8 lumens. For reference, an entry-level wired path light from Lowe's puts out around 90 lumens. So you're getting about 1/10 of the brightness for 1/10 of the price, which sounds fair on paper until you realize the entire point of a path light is to actually light a path. But the brightness isn't even the biggest problem. The biggest problem is how people install them. The mistake is putting them in a straight line, evenly spaced, on both sides of the walkway. Landscape designers literally call this the airport runway effect. Your walk doesn't need flight clearance to land. The fix is 2 things. First, stagger them. Put one on the left, skip about 6 to 8 feet, then one on the right. Alternate sides like a zigzag. Second, upgrade the fixtures themselves. Hampton Bay sells real metal low voltage path lights at Home Depot in the $20 to $49 range. A 6-pack ends up around $70 to $110 total. Same money as the cheap solar lights, completely different result. The reason fixture quality matters is that daylight reveals what darkness hides. Those plastic solar lights are still sitting in your yard during the day, and during the day, they read as plastic. Now, the second mistake is the one that genuinely makes a house look creepy at night, and homeowners do it because more feels like better. It's uplighting every bush, every shrub, every tree from the ground. What ends up happening is that bright white light shoots up from below at every plant in the yard, throwing harsh shadows on every leaf, and the whole house starts to look like a haunted house tour. Designers call this the Halloween effect. It's not subtle. You can spot it from 3 blocks away. What the professionals do is the exact opposite. Uplighting is supposed to be selective, not blanket. You pick 1 or 2 focal trees in the entire yard, not every plant. 1, maybe 2, and you light only those. The angle matters too. You position the fixture about 1 to 3 feet from the trunk, aimed up at 30 to 45 degrees, and slightly off-center. The off-center angle is what reveals the branch structure naturally instead of creating a hot white spot on the bark that makes the tree look like it's getting interrogated by a SWAT team. Less is the whole game here. 2 or 3 well-placed fixtures create more impact than 6 poorly positioned ones. And there's a side benefit too. Less uplighting also means less light pollution, which is something to think about if you live in a neighborhood where everyone else is already doing too much. The fix costs you nothing if you already have lights. Walk out, pick the 1 or 2 trees in your yard that actually deserve to be highlighted, light those, and pull the rest of the fixtures out of the ground. The yard will instantly look more designed. The third mistake is the hardest one to see if you don't know what to look for. But once you know, you can't unsee it. Walk through the lighting aisle at Home Depot and you'll see 2 main color options on the boxes: warm white, cool white, sometimes daylight. The numbers next to those labels tell you the color temperature in Kelvin, and almost everyone grabs the wrong one for outdoors. The science is counterintuitive. Lower Kelvin numbers, like 2700 Kelvin, actually look warmer and more amber. Higher numbers, like 5000 or 6000 Kelvin, look cooler and bluer, closer to midday sun. Most cheap outdoor lights ship in 6000 or 6500 Kelvin by default because that's the color the manufacturers think looks bright. It is bright. It also looks like a hospital parking lot. What you actually want for residential exterior lighting is 2700 to 3000 Kelvin. That's the soft, warm amber that mimics candlelight or an old incandescent bulb. It makes wood look like wood, brick look like brick. Plants look natural. Cool white, on the other hand, washes out the browns and tans and makes foliage look bleached or bluish green. It looks unnatural because it is unnatural. That color of light doesn't exist in nature outside of midday. The American Medical Association actually weighed in on this back in 2016. They unanimously adopted a policy recommending that outdoor lighting at night have a color temperature no higher than 3000 Kelvin. Their concern was about blue light at night affecting sleep and melatonin. But the design conclusion lines up either way. Warm is the right call. The fix is simple. Next time you're buying outdoor bulbs or fixtures, check the box. Look for 2700 Kelvin. Stay under 3000. The only real exception is security floodlights, where you actually want the clinical white because visibility matters more than ambience there. Real quick, if you're already mentally walking around your yard counting the mistakes I've described, you're going to want to stick with me. The next 2 are the ones that even people with expensive lighting systems get wrong. Subscribe button is right there. All right, back to it. The fourth mistake is more about composition than fixtures. And it's the difference between a backyard that looks designed and one that looks like an empty parking lot at night. The mistake is treating your patio like an indoor room, picking a single brightness level and lighting the whole thing evenly. String lights overhead, deck lights, post lights, ground lights, all on at the same intensity. The result is a flat, evenly lit patio with no shadows, no depth, no drama, just bright. What landscape lighting professionals do instead is build the scene in 3 layers. Ambient is the broad, low-level wash, often from lights mounted high in trees aimed downward, which mimics moonlight and casts dappled shadows. Task is path lights, step lights, anywhere safety matters. And accent is the tight spots on focal features like that one focal tree you uplight or a piece of garden art in a corner. The principle behind all 3 layers is contrast, not brightness. Pools of light separated by intentional darker zones. Your eye should move through the scene the way it moves through a painting, not blink at the whole thing at once. Janet Lennox Moyer, who literally wrote the textbook on landscape lighting, calls this luminous composition. She has an entire chapter on it. The whole field of professional outdoor lighting is built on balancing light and shadow the way a photographer balances exposure. The fix here is to look at your patio and identify where the focal points actually are. Is there a seating corner you want to feel cozy? Light that. Is there a tree at the edge of the patio with character? Light that. The space between those moments, let it stay darker. That darkness is what makes the lit parts feel intimate and intentional instead of clinical and exposed. If you've been overlighting your patio, turn things off, not on. The result is almost always more impressive. And the last one is the mistake that ties all the previous four together. And it's the easiest to fix once you actually see it. Mixing fixture styles across the yard. A round path light here, a square uplight there. One rustic lantern by the back door, a modern sleek bollard at the corner. None of them match each other because they were bought one or two at a time over the years, mostly from different stores, and the homeowner never stepped back to see whether the system as a whole had any visual identity. Lighting manufacturers actually have a term for the solution. They call it a fixture family. Hinkley Lighting, Kickler, even Hampton Bay all sell coordinated collections. Path lights, wall sconces, post lights, hanging lanterns, step lights, all in the same finish, the same shape language, the same metal tone. Pick one collection and use it across the entire exterior of the house. That single decision does more for the cohesion of the yard than almost any other design move you can make. Finish consistency is the most important piece of this. If your front door has an oil-rubbed bronze sconce, your path lights should also be oil-rubbed bronze. Not black, not brushed nickel. Bronze. The eye reads matching finishes as intentional. Mixed finishes read as accumulated over time, which is exactly what they are. Color temperature consistency goes right alongside finish. Pick one, 2700 or 3000 Kelvin, and use that throughout. Mixing warm white and cool white in the same yard looks disjointed, even if the fixtures themselves match. And here's the part most people don't realize. You don't have to replace every fixture in the yard overnight to start fixing this. Pick one finish and one color temperature, and just replace fixtures slowly as the cheap ones fail. Every replacement makes the whole system look a little more designed. So those are the 5. The runway path lights, the Halloween uplighting, the cool white temperature, the flat patio, the mismatched fixtures. Fix any one of those and your yard looks better tonight. Fix all 5 and the yard literally looks like a different property after sunset. One thing before you go that I think is worth knowing. A few years back, the National Association of Realtors did a study on which outdoor projects homeowners actually enjoyed the most after installing them. Landscape lighting scored a perfect 10 out of 10 on enjoyment, tied with an in-ground pool. A pool costs around 90 grand. A real residential lighting system, done right, comes in under $1,500. Same satisfaction. A fraction of the money. But lighting only works after sunset. The other half of what makes your yard look genuinely expensive, the half that's working during the day when the lights are off and people are actually walking around back there, that comes down to a totally different set of small, deliberate choices. The structures, the seating, the plant choices, the small details people don't think about until they see one done well. I made a video walking through 10 of those with real numbers and Home Depot prices that'll pop up right here when this one wraps. Tell me in the comments which of these 5 mistakes you've made. Be honest. See you in the next one.